We'll call the Tuesday, February 4th Property and Finance Committee meeting to order at 4:50. Just do an introduction around the room here real quick.
Shane Blazer, committee member.
Jennifer Gossick, city clerk.
Scott Kelly, alderperson.
Tom Reynolds, Alderman.
Joe Terry, Director of Public Works.
Jay Catnaw, committee member.
Tim DeSorsi, finance.
Steve Coe, Alderperson, Chairman of the committee. All right, our first item is review and consider proposals for the Recreation Center Capital Campaign Strategy Development. Get to it in a minute here.
Is it even in
There
there?
isn't.
I didn't see it.
I didn't either. I was like,
That's the mayor was gonna,
Zach was going to talk
I
about that.
think so, yeah.
is he coming
I'll text him.
or we can
You just move on.
push it down or?
Yeah, we'll just come back to that one since the mayor's not here. We'll go to item number 3, which is consider for approval a resolution establishing investment policy and designating public depositories. Tim?
Okay, yes, this is a previously approved investment policy that we've had for a long time, and basically, I'm just updating it, and the main reason to update it is just some, you'll see on page, actually doesn't have pages, but towards the back, the second to last page, we have authorized financial institutions and some of the local institutions. It contains pretty much almost all the financial institutions in town, plus some of our investments outside of town. But namely, we've had some name changes in some of our local financial institutions, so I'm just updating those to reflect the actual name, and then kind of remove some that we no longer, either whether it's the city or the Water Works and Lighting Commission, do financial transactions with from an investment standpoint. The only other change was in authorized investments in section D, where we just kind of list that these are the preferred investments, suitable investments for the city, and I just added on there bonds and securities of any state of Wisconsin, or any of our, where we can invest in bonds that a school district issued or a city or a village issued, and so we put that on there. And so pretty much that just lists most of our suitable investments. The only one I would say is commercial paper. I've never authorized any investments in the commercial paper. I just don't feel comfortable. I know I've gotten investment options from our financial advisor for, like, so they say commercial notes from, like, say Apple, and I just don't feel that that's a proper investment of public funds, just because of, you know, if something would ever happen to the company, and it has happened, you'd never think it would, obviously we'd be out that, so I don't feel that's a suitable investment. So I usually never invest in commercial paper, but all the other ones are fairly secured investments in U.S. treasuries, bonds of local governments in Wisconsin only. I would never invest in a local government outside the state of Wisconsin. So, but that's pretty much just updating that of the existing policy. If you have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a Jennifer.
No, I'm sorry. I was just moving my arm.
Who seconded that?
Thank you.
Yep.
We have a motion and second. Is there any other further discussion on the item? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 4 is review and consider proposals for replacing some common area furniture and carpet at the Centralia Center. Joe?
So much of the furniture in the common areas at the Centralia Center is original to the Centralia Center opening. And many of those pieces of furniture have been soiled, cleaned numerous times, and some of them have had to have been disposed of. And it's time to replace them. And we've talked about this as staff for going on a year now, but we have proposals from a commercial furniture company, and for 23 pieces. And these pieces are in all the common areas, entry areas, areas by the window. And the lowest cost proposal for the furniture is $19,300.80. That includes 23 pieces, including chairs, tables, to be placed in common areas, including the counter, front entrance, front window, hallways, library, and side seating areas. The other part of the request is to recarpet the pool room. That carpeting is also, we clean the carpets twice per year, and those carpets are, that area is well used, and that carpet's reached end of life. And so we've got two proposals there. One proposal is for $6,825. That does not include any floor prep, and would be charged on a time and materials basis if needed. The other proposal was for $7,124.44, and that includes everything. But they did say that if there wasn't floor prep, they would deduct. And so, knowing the maximum total amount, I'm more comfortable recommending that $7,124.44. It's not a lot different, but it doesn't leave anything to the imagination as far as what might constitute floor prep. The Wisconsin Rapids Area Senior Center Association has also offered for an $8,000 donation towards the purchase of this furniture. So the staff recommendation is to request a motion to accept the donation from RASCA for $8,000, approve the Henriksen furniture proposal for $19,300.80, and the Carpet City proposal for $7,124.44. And that would be financed from the Centralia Center Building Maintenance Fund.
Anyone have any questions for Joe? Go ahead, Scott.
How is the furniture identified? I'm thinking this is, you talk about soil cushions and so forth. Is new furniture, do they have cushions that you can zip off the cover and wash them? Or is it like outdoor furniture where it's comfortable but yet less likely to get soiled? Just durability.
So it is an indoor, and I did not bring my adapter to put this up, so I'll just kind of turn it a couple ways. So there is a counter table or counter chair and table that is a little more industrial. There's also, the couches are water resistant, stain resistant fabric, which isn't to say that you can disassemble them for cleaning. It's surface cleaning, and it's still going to be susceptible to eventually being stained and having to have some cushions replaced or whatever. Being indoors and this facility, I think that the staff recommendations for good, durable, but yet comfortable pieces are important. We could have suggested some more outdoor style benches. Some of those are very attractive, quite a bit more expensive, but they're not as comfortable. And I think, especially given the donation, that comfort is essential. The overall cost is less than what you do with an outdoor style furniture, and it's appropriate for this venue.
Does Centralia people get involved in selection of it, or?
So our staff assisted with that, and she works with all of the.
So they're not surprised with.
No. They've been asking for this now for quite some time, and I've been looking for multiple proposals and kind of our standard. Our standard authorization process, and it took a little time to get everything. Yeah, so these are the front window tables.
What do you do with the furniture we have? Do you put it out like a Wisconsin surplus auction? Or?
No. It'll be disposed of. It's been aged and cleaned.
I was just curious.
Yeah, beyond useful life. It'll get time to go.
Yeah.
Tim, do we have, is this the same fund that the parking lot's being taken out of, and we have balance money in there left, or?
Yeah, I mean, there was about, I think, about 400,000 in the replacement account.
Oh,
Or
okay.
that, you know, and then I do believe the parking lot's gonna come in around the 200, 210.
Oh,
I think
plenty.
it's-
Okay.
Plus, additionally, if there's some common area, some of this furniture is for the benefit of all the agencies in there, like it's in common and not just exclusive to the Lowell Center. There is some encourage money that was put in there for the benefit of that side of the building. So if we could demonstrate that it benefits all three agencies, we have about 20,000 there that we could use to pay for some of this furniture.
Perfect.
Nope, Jake.
Yeah.
I got nothing for now.
I'll make a motion to approve the furniture proposal for $19,380 and the Carpet City proposal for $7,124.44.
I'll second. We have motion and second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 5 is consider a request to increase the construction service contract with MSA for the East Riverbank Phase 2 project by $12,500. Joe?
So the current contract with MSA on that project is $151,365. And they have reached that contract amount with an identified remaining effort of $12,500. Work remaining in Phase 2 includes railing installation in Veterans Park, the final punch list, final payment application, and project closeout. City staff has requested and has received further details from MSA regarding the requested funds, and have noticed that some of the items appear to be legitimate requests, while others have generated further questions that staff is and will be exploring with MSA. The referral document does identify the current budget of the project with sufficient funds to support the request. However, staff would like to verify some of the items in more detail prior to bringing this back to committee. So we wanted to let the Finance and Property Committee know that there is a request for additional. As we've reviewed the contract, some of the additional things are legitimate, but somewhat out of scope, and we've had this conversation before with MSA, and so the importance of identifying out of scope items so that we're not at the end of a project. The way I've looked at this contract, however, is that we don't need to necessarily approve a change order in order to finish the project. Their contract is to supply construction management, construction engineering services up to and closing out the project for a time and materials not to exceed. And so these items that they have specified will be asking that they're identified and not taken out of the time and materials not to exceed amount, but rather reviewed as a change order amount itself. And then we can review that and have those discussions, and we expect an MSA representative here, and we can critique that then in detail.
Okay, so are you still looking for any money tonight?
I'm not looking for any action because we still have some questions. We wanted to expedite this if it was appropriate to do so, but as staff, we're just not to that point. So,
All right. Moving on to item number 6 then is consider partnering with the Wisconsin Department of Administration to share costs to study river flood mitigation options along 2nd Avenue South. Joe?
So during the flooding event this last spring, the city utilized a combination of pumps and a line of sandbags along 2nd Avenue South, Highway 54, to maintain access for vehicles along the highway. The sandbagging effort was very effective, but it required a significant amount of resources to install and move in. Didn't allow us to utilize those resources in some other areas as well. The city desires to maintain access along the highway during flooding events with minimal effort for as long as possible. And the Wisconsin DOT and Department of Administration building likewise experience effects of that flooding and desires to protect their building. The city met with the Department of Administration in May of this year, or of 2019, and then again January 7th of 2020 to discuss potential partnership options. The Department of Administration is willing to administrate a project, and the first step is a study to determine if there are options to mitigate, because it is in a floodway. Some of those options will need to be studied to see if they can legally be done. And so staff is recommending pursuing a study to look at those options, allows us to reduce resources and mutual benefit to the Department of Administration. At this point, with estimates that they have obtained, we're recommending a 50-50 partnership with the Department of Administration, a cost share on a flood mitigation study, and an approximate cost of $7,500 for the city. It's a $15,000 total estimate. And that includes several floodway modeling iterations. There's some subjectivity. If we have some proposed solutions, we have to run them against the stormwater model. And it is a bit of a trial and error process. And so the $15,000, of which if we agree to contribute half is appropriate, allows for several iterations. If we don't need that many, of course, there'd be less cost. We would propose to finance this effort through the Stormwater Utility Fund.
Okay.
One thing you can pretty much guarantee in Rapids here, that the water's gonna rise in the spring, and I think this is an appropriate step to begin that process on trying to hopefully address or find some resolution to hopefully hold back the water a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a problem for years. Yeah, the one question I have is, so we do this study, then what are we looking at after that? Is it gonna be a project that potentially is done next year, following year?
Yeah,
Where would that funding come from?
So I think we need to look and see what our, what the study tells us, what options we may or may not have. We may have, we've discussed briefly, there may be some small earthen changes that we can do that has no effect on the river or its flows, but it allows, instead of, 1,000 feet of sandbags 3 feet high, maybe 20 feet of them, because, the rest of it might help manage that flow. And so that protect the homes and to protect the businesses in that area, it'd be a minimal amount of work. But we have to review some of these ideas and see if it fits the stormwater model. So it's hard to say, and I think once we start to run some of these ideas through the modeling process, we'll be able to quickly discover, boy, we've got some room to do some more robust things, or we've got to do a minimalist effort here, and there may still be significant amounts of work, but we could make it better. The study, we'll come back with some recommendations, and then at that time we'll review what the project looks like, what it may cost, if it's appropriate to put it in the capital improvement plan, what the DOA schedule looks like, and all those other factors in making decisions at that time.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, with doing this, but just over the last several years, we have done things to mitigate flooding there. And we
Made great strides,
We
yes.
have spent a lot of money, I think, with that. And so I don't have a problem with this, but do you foresee that this would be maybe a resolution to all of it?
Well, I think
Most of it?
for most of it, right? I mean, we've taken some steps in modifying the storm sewer system, and that was in partnership with the DOT, and that has created a situation where there's things that we can do to prevent, and this last year was a great example. The water elevations were nearly the same as what they were in 2010, but the damage sure wasn't. You know, we didn't have to, I mean, emergency vehicles could still get through. We did detour some traffic, but for the most part, the homes weren't significantly impacted. The businesses weren't significantly impacted. So we've seen dramatic improvements already. But there's a few things that if we're able to make a few earthen changes or just some small containment, that we could improve it that much more. And you know, we've had now a couple of major 100-year type probability storm events, which is, you know, very improbable, but we had them. And given the frequency, I think we need to expect that
More.
there may be more. And I think that that this goes a long way, and if we can spend less time, even if we can't solve the problem, but if we can improve upon it, it gives us more resources elsewhere in the city to address, you know, some of the other concerns. We had some issues on the east side of the river that we weren't able to address. It allows us to focus a little more on making some improvements there as well. So I would say it's an evolutionary process. I wouldn't necessarily say that we'd be able to solve the problem, but certainly get one step closer to being a much better situation.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions for Joe? Please. I'll make a motion to approve the flood study with the DOA for a cost to the city of $7,500.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Go on to item number 7, which is review the 2020 general obligation bond issuance timeline. Sure, Tim?
Okay, if you remember, I do believe it was in December, we kind of reviewed this timeline and reviewed the sizing of the bond issue and the timeline. And at that time, we had looked at approving a preliminary resolution in January with the notes, or January, and then the notes being sold in February, but just with the timing and the fiscal year end close, and I'm wanting to get more firm numbers for the Moody's credit rating. We pushed that back, and we reviewed it again, and we had to adjust the aquatics borrowing to account for some items that were not included in the original. So right now, we're looking at doing a preliminary resolution at this February council meeting with the sale of the bonds in March. However, in kind of lieu of us, the agenda item number 2, the proposals for the fund capital campaign, the strategy development. We had originally structured the note issues of what we needed to complete the project of using about $995,000 of bond anticipation notes, and that was because the Legacy Foundation has a $500,000 matching grant, and so that would afford us more time to raise those funds, and then a year from now, basically, or probably next May or June, you know, if we had raised those funds, then obviously then we'd do the permanent financing for those bond anticipation notes. But in lieu of us reviewing, considering proposals for the capital campaign, the mayor and I discussed that maybe we want to bump up those bond anticipation notes, because if we do a formal campaign and stuff, that we might get more donations and contributions towards it as part of that capital campaign, in excess of what we needed for the legacy matching grant. And so basically what we'd be doing is looking to decrease the amount that we're going to put on the 20-year bond in February and March, and increase the bond anticipation notes to maybe 1.5 million or 2 million, in anticipation that we might get additional donations, and then we could do the permanent financing then. And obviously, if we got the full amount of the band, we wouldn't have to finance that. We'd have the money to pay those off. So I was just kind of wanted to bring this back to get the committee's thoughts on maybe increasing the non-anticipation notes. Really the only risks in increasing that would be some interest rate sensitivity, credit risk, you know, that obviously if rates rise from now until we do the permanent financing, if you don't raise the funds, that's really the only risk that would be involved with this.
Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I think it's the right move, especially being that once we discuss item number 2, and hopefully over this next year, we are able to raise some of those funds.
Mhm.
So obviously, why finance them now if we still have that possibility out there?
So just so people know what bond anticipation is, basically it's just a short-term note. So we'll get the proceeds now to complete the project and then do the permanent financing approximately probably a year from now, a year and a couple months. So it's just a matter of what the committee feels that, you know, I can see 1.5 or 2 million depending on how, you know, ambitious we think, you know, hopefully the capital campaign will be able to raise that money, but.
I guess I, for my own preference, I'd be in favor of going to the 2 million.
Okay.
Because if we can raise $2 million, that's $2 million less we have to
Right.
borrow. So, you know, I'm disappointed that we're at this point of borrowing any more money, but if we can hopefully keep 2 million off a 20-year note, we're gonna, even if the interest rate jumps up a little bit, we're
Right.
still talking $4 million in interest that we're gonna be paying over 20 years. So I would rather err on the side of, let's see if we can raise $2 million and keep that off the note, the 20-year note.
So basically with that, then, you know, the 20-year bond for the aquatics facility that we'd be approving coming up would then be $2.3 million. Because right now it's at $3,384,000. We lower that to $2,384,000, and then the bond anticipation notes would go up to $1,995,000. That's
I'm in favor of that.
okay. That's what we don't need to take action. If you want, you can. Otherwise, I will let the Fellers know, and Quarles and Brady, our bond attorney, knows, and we will have a preliminary bond resolution on this upcoming council meeting for February, which will then break that all up. So.
Sounds good.
All right. Since Zach is here, we'll go back to item number 2, which is review and consider proposals for recreation center capital campaign strategy development.
So, though our council meeting was last Tuesday, you know, finally approving the actual action, I did have a couple firms that were considering putting in proposals. I set a soft deadline of noon yesterday. I did receive one, and the email's not opening up, so I can't forward it to you, but from MediaWorks, it's a local firm that does PR and marketing. Mark Skiba is the principal on the firm. And there's another firm, and she hasn't gotten back to me. She had a death in the family apparently, so she didn't know if she was going to submit a proposal. So I guess I don't really have anything to report other than we put it out to a few firms that we thought locally could assist us with the scope of the work, and I only have the one proposal, which I'll send it to you once I get to a computer. It went to my spam originally. So at this point, I'm not asking for any action. Just wanted to make sure if we did have proposals, we were ready to act, that we could act, but I only have the one right now. So I don't know. I can't even pull it up to tell you what's in it, unfortunately. So I would suggest that you know, we continue to we'll talk with a few others to see if we can get a couple of comparative proposals, and if there is some in time for a February council, maybe calling a special finance within the next 2 weeks to review them, just to keep the process moving. I think would be something I would prefer to do, unless others have thoughts or considerations.
Who's the firm who did the YMCA's campaign?
They didn't actually have a
They
firm.
did internal.
Yeah, but they did have the YMCA's national office has some gift resources, so they used internal resources that way, and then their board and Warren volunteers, I should say, executed the campaign.
Anyone else have any questions for Zach? All right. With that, we'll move on to item number 8, which is the beverage operator licenses. There's one in here that,
Is it fine, is it? Or- I think it says on top.
Yeah, fine and a court appearance coming up.
yeah, which I would make a motion to approve the beverage operator licenses with the exception of the one for Alexander Nelson until the fines and court action is taken care of.
I can second that.
A motion and second on the beverage operator licenses. Is there any other further discussion?
Is your motion to approve it pending that? If so, if he clears it up, then it's approved? So it's contingent upon?
Contingent
Okay.
upon
All right.
those obligations being taken care of. Motion and second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Who seconded that? I guess.
Shane. This next one, item number 9, is consider for approval the appointment of Craig Kao as successor agent for the Class A beer license and Class A intoxicating liquor license for Dollar Gen Group LLC, doing business as Dollar General Store 10309, located at 951 West Grand Avenue. And this is just simply, as has been advised, it's a change in ownership.
Change in agent.
Change in agent.
Yeah, for the liquor license. The liquor license has already been approved. They're just changing the agent on that license.
Okay, so it's an agent change.
Yep.
And there's no red flags with that.
Flip a coin? I can make a motion.
Yeah.
That we approve the change of agent.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Is there other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Somebody who's gonna sue? All right, so I will start reading this. In open session, the committee will vote to go into closed session under section 19.81, para 1, para E of the Wisconsin statutes, which reads, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and second. We'll do this by roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it, and we are now in closed session. So we've returned to open session, and from here we will go on to item number 11, which is consider a request from the Wisconsin Rapids Rafters LLC to make 2 improvements to Witter Field this spring, expansion of the Craft River area, and expansion of the home plate club to be done at the Rafters' expense.
Okay, I provided you with some pictures and text regarding the 2 areas to expand, and I guess Andy's here if you have any questions. The Craft River is just expanding then beneath the rat trap area to make that area a little bigger, and the Home Plate Club will actually be putting 3 or 4 tables? 4 tables in front of the current Home Plate Club. So Andy, if you want to maybe go through those briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. With the Craft River, essentially with that area, reason behind it is more square footage. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking the underneath area, underneath that rat trap where the current red picnic tables, if anyone remembers being out at the ballpark, building that back, raising it up about 12 inches so people can see in front, and then adding a couple of toilets, about an extra 40 seats within that area. Overall, providing the experience for groups of that 30 to 100 that we need at the ballpark because of other areas being at capacity.
Will there be other places to to sit now that those picnic tables will be out and that'll be exclusive seating?
Yeah, so with the picnic tables, we expect to move them one or two locations and possibly both locations. One by the bullpen, by the batting cage, there's that little inlet area. There's availability for seating there. Also underneath the grandstands, which is probably the better option of the two, providing some coverage still. We also have a TV under there for if anybody does want to sit there and also still watch the game, they can see the broadcast on North League TV.
Again, but I do know. So the standing room, so if I come in and buy standing room only ticket, where am I able to watch the game then if those red picnic tables are gone?
Yeah,
Would
so-
it be out by the bullpen?
So up by
or-
the bullpen is always available. There's still a side by the kids zone area, up that line. A lot of people will stand there, sit down, or whatever it may be. So there's two locations there, and then other just small little inlets across the ballpark where people can be standing on the open concourse area in front of the point beer stand, for example, and look out and watch the game too. Numerous spots.
Does anyone else have any questions? Got a motion to
I'll
approve?
make a motion to approve, August, I can. I'll make a motion to approve the two improvements at Ware Field, and the expansion of the craft area and the expansion of the home plate club.
I'll second. Got a motion and second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Item number 12 is consider for approval a Class B beer and Class B intoxicating liquor license application for Joel Vin Baseball LLC, Joseph Fonte agent doing business as Wisconsin Rapids Rafters for the premises located at 521 Lincoln Street, Wisconsin Rapids.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Class B license pending the sale.
I'll second.
We have motion and second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Item number 13 is audit of the bills. Everyone get a chance to look those over. Any questions?
Hey guys,
Joe, what are the?
I got the check numbers here. I can.
2270 to
Yep.
2656.
I'll make a motion to approve checks 2270 to 2656.
I'll second. Is there any further, we have motion and second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. And we have to set our next meeting date.
March 3rd would be the first Tuesday in March.
We got one, we're gonna do one before the council.
But for the next regular meeting.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to schedule one for council. Next regular meeting, March 3rd at 4:45.
I will not be in the country that day. So I can either find someone to sit for me or we can delay it.
You find someone.
Yeah, that's fine.
March 3rd at 4:45. Okay. Item number 15 is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it, and we are adjourned at 6:46 PM.